Hello, and welcome to episode number 21 of the Rabe Creations podcast. My name's Nicole, and I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, here in Canada, where I live with my husband, Barry, and my wonderful, beautiful rescued Rottweiler named Grace. So this podcast, if you're new, deals primarily with crochet and fiber goodness. Also touches on some sewing. I like to sew things and other crafty things that I get up to, but primarily crochet. Alrighty, so some updates on what's been going on. Well, it's cold. It's really cold. We've actually been pretty spoiled this winter with the weather being fairly mild and not too bad. And then this cold snap hit, and it's a doozy. The other morning when I went to take Grace out for her walk, the wind chill was minus 41. Yep, it's cold. So it's given me lots of opportunity to wear my new sweater. So this is the sweater that I talked about last podcast. It is the Scandi Jumper by Fran Morgan. I worked it up in Drops yarn, the Drops Nepal yarn. So it is a wool alpaca blend, and it is super warm. Incredibly warm. Wearing this as a layering piece underneath my jacket to go outside, and completely toasty. So, you know, our ancestors, those who began shearing sheep and other woolly creatures and creating wool and creating yarn and making things to wear, they were onto something. 'Cause yeah, it does what it's meant to do. It keeps you incredibly warm. I can't believe the difference between natural fibers and synthetic fibers when it comes to warmth, or the dissipation of heat when it comes to cottons in the summer. It's amazing the difference that natural fibers make. So let me see, anything else I needed to talk to you about? Oh yes, new subscribers. We have gotten a handful of new subscribers, so welcome. If this is your first or your second time checking out the podcast, I'm so glad you found us. My little corner of the interwebs. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stick around. And if you do enjoy what you see here today, as always, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share it if you know somebody else who might be interested. I'd love to grow our viewership even further. It's a lot of fun just connecting with people out there. I think one of the most interesting things about this journey that I've been on with podcasting is connecting not just with people in my area, because there are a few, but it quite literally is a global community, and that's amazing to me. So being able to connect with people across the world, and we all share this common interest of yarn and crochet and creating beautiful things. That's a pretty neat feeling. So welcome if you're new. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad to spend some crafty time with you. Alrighty, so this episode probably won't be quite as long as some of my other ones. I haven't done a whole lot of accumulating of things to share with you, so not a whole lot in the acquisitions standpoint. I do have a couple of works in progress. I do have a few patterns, designs that I've been working on. If you follow me on Instagram, you likely will have seen some of these. I have to preface this a little bit. Grace, my wonderful, beautiful rescued Rottweiler, has decided to be my co-host today, but apparently I'm not a very exciting podcaster, and she has fallen asleep on the couch and is currently snoring. So if you do hear snoring, that's the dog on the couch. Alrighty, give me a few seconds. I will be right back, and we will get into some finished projects from the past 2-week period. All right, see you in a bit. All right, so on to some finished projects. I do have technically 2 finished crochet projects to share with you, and it is my own design. So I have come up with another new design. I know that last podcast I showed you my new bee's knees hat design. That is going quite well. It is out with testers right now. And I have since been working on another design. So this one is a cowl, and it is called the Scandi Peak Cowl. And it is a color work that I have designed myself. So I've done up 2 of them. So this was my original. Please excuse the strings. I have not yet woven in my ends, but this is the original. It is done in gray and a creamy white color. It has, as I said, tapestry crochet designs going through it. It has nice and tidy on the inside. That's what I really like about tapestry crochet. It doesn't have the floats running on the inside to get caught on things. It's nice and neat and tidy. It does create a fabric that's not quite as stretchy as other crochet fabrics, but that's okay for what I'm using it for. I think it works out quite nicely. So it has this sort of a chainy design on the top and the bottom of the cowl, and a diagonal stripe going across the middle. So it is worn in this manner here. One of the things I like about this cowl is that it is, in my opinion, very unisex. I think it could be worn successfully by men or women. You can make it smaller for children as well, or for dogs. I'm contemplating making one for the beautiful, wonderful rescued Rottweiler over there. But yeah, so I've made 2, as I said, the gray and cream color, and then this one is a green, and the lighter color on this is called butterscotch. All of this is done in a worsted weight size 4 yarn from Impeccable. So it's all just acrylic yarn. I'm, trying to use up some stash yarn to do some designing with. Scandi, the name of the cowl, the Scandi Peak. The reason why I chose that is I live in Calgary, as I've said, and we are right next to the Rocky Mountains. So we are about a 2-hour-ish drive from Banff. I'm sure you know, Banff is a famous provincial park. And right out our back door, literally, I mean, half an hour, and we are at some of the best cross-country skiing in the Kananaskis that you could imagine. And Scandi Peak is part of our mountain range. So I decided that it would be an appropriate name for the cowl. So as I said, the cowl itself is done in a tapestry crochet colorwork. I think anybody with experience in colorwork is going to be able to do this quite easily once you have the pattern figured out, especially in the chain. Once you understand the sequences of stitches, it goes very quickly. It's single crochet and some half double crochet as well. I am going to be releasing this on Ravelry and through my Etsy store. But before I do that, I am once again going to put the call out. I need some testers. So I am in the process right now of writing up the pattern, and it should be ready to go out to testers in the next day or 2. So if you are out there, if you would like to test out my new pattern, please let me know. I will link my email address below in the show notes. That is the best way to get a hold of me in regards to pattern testing. I would say that the pattern itself is beginner colorwork friendly, as long as you're willing to be a little bit adventurous. So I would say let's rephrase that. I would say an advanced beginner to a beginning intermediate. So right at that level. It's not terribly complicated color work. It is only 2 color. Getting into 3 and 4 color would be much more complicated. So it is only 2 color, and it does only use 2 basic stitches, some basic color changing done the same way as you would do if you were doing amigurumi. So it's not terribly complicated. I am looking for testers who would be able to get me back input by February 22nd. The pattern itself only takes 2 skeins or 2 balls of impeccable yarn. So I would say about 200, sorry, I keep picking up my book, about 200 meters of each color will do ya. I've, as I said, just used acrylic yarn, but you could use anything. You could use wools, you could use wool acrylic blends. The big thing to me is that you stick with sort of that Aran weight so that the gauge and the sizing comes out correctly. So if you're interested at all, please contact me. I would love to get a couple of testers. The other finished projects I have to share with you, I will share in my shop updates because they are some of my fabric project bags that I have listed in my shop. So that is my other finished project, and I'll share that a little bit later. But since we are on the topic of the designs that I am releasing, I just wanted to talk a little bit, I'm sure you can see it here in the background, about my bee's knees hat pattern. So I did get some wonderful podcast viewers who reached out and offered to act as pattern testers with that pattern. And so far, all of the feedback I've gotten has been amazing. Thank you so much. I am waiting to hear back from one more pattern tester. I hope to be releasing this pattern on this coming Friday, which I believe is February the 8th. So February the 8th will be the release date for the bee's knees hat pattern. And again, it'll be released on Ravelry and hopefully at the same time on Etsy. And then I'm looking at March 1st as the release date for the new cowl. So that is the only finished crochet project that I have. I've got quite a few things though on the hook, and I will be showing that to you next. Alrighty, so moving right along into some works in progress. I have a few to share with you today. The first one is something you saw last time. So I am working on some self-striping socks. The yarn that I'm using, to recap, is a Sockenwool. It is a comfort wool, and it is a sock wool. It's made in Italy for H&W Germany, so it is a German commercial sock yarn that I got at my local yarn store. It is 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon. It is beautiful. I really, really like the color. And I'm quite happy with how it's working up. It's not perfect. We talked about that a little bit last time, about trying to find, you know, that perfect pattern that will work in a self-striping yarn. This has not got long enough color repeats to do what I want it to do, but it's still working out quite nicely, and I love the colors. So that is the yarn in its ball. So quite pretty with the oranges and the blues and the grays, and there's some really dark black in there and some yellows. It's really quite pretty. And this is how it's working up. So this is one of the Rohn Strong socks, the Gorman Toe Up sock pattern, and it is from the Step Into Crochet book that he released. And this is what I've got going on so far. So I really, really like the striping, and I just wish that it didn't break, but this is it. I am not doing contrast heels or toes or cuffs. I am just working with the yarn and seeing how it comes out of the yarn ball, and I'm quite liking how this is turning out. So as you can see, I've got the toe, the body of the foot, the heel turn is that sort of little triangle shape there, and then the heel flap on this is quite big because of how this sock is put together. So it is a shorty. It's not going to have a huge leg on it. It is a shorty, and I chose that just because I'm trying to figure out how to make self-striping yarn work in crochet. So that is what I've got so far. yeah, it shouldn't take much longer to get this one complete and then get on to the second sock and go from there. So that is the Gorman Toe Up Sock pattern by Rohn. I'll pop that back in its bag, and I will share with you my next project on the go. And this is something I have shown in the past, but I have done, oh my goodness, some more work on it. As you can see, it is enormous, and it is the Fugly blanket. It is making an appearance. So this is based on Lucy from Attic 24, based on her Granny Stripes blanket, and it is a scrappy blanket, if you didn't already guess that or hadn't remembered. So all of my bits and pieces of acrylic yarns that I have from working amigurumis and that sort of thing, I've balled up in a magic ball, so using a magic knot. And once the ball gets to, you know, a decent size, I work away on the blanket. It's kind of nice sometimes to have one of these projects going in the background so that, you know, when you're busy designing or when you're busy working on those more complicated patterns, it's kind of nice to have something mindless that you can just pick up when you're not feeling like thinking and you just want to keep your hands busy while you're watching some podcasts. So that's what this becomes for me. And the only stipulation I have with the yarn that's in this project is that it is all 100% acrylic. It is all around an Aran weight. So some of it's a little bit thicker, some of it's a little bit thinner. There's a couple of novelty yarns in here as well. But for the most part, it is all about an Aran weight. So let me show you. It's huge. I'm trying to make it big enough to fit on a queen size bed. So it is huge. That is the length of it. So you can see here on the side from the stitch marker, this is where I was at last time I showed it. And I have put 20 rows on it since last time I showed it. So gone from this gray up through this. Here's a novelty, sort of an eyelashy type of a yarn. Here is a novelty velour-y kind of yarn. So as you can see, I'm sort of playing around with different textures and whatnot as well. But to see the width of it, it sort of starts here. I can't even get the whole thing in frame, but it starts here and it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going. Oh, and there we've reached the end. So as you can see, it's going to be certainly wide enough for the queen-sized bed. Now it's just a matter of getting it long enough to cover that bed. So I figure, you know, a couple of years worth of work and it will be ready to go. So that is what I affectionately call my Fugly blanket, because it really is not all that pretty. It definitely doesn't have a calm color palette. It is a little bit wild, but I really like them. I think they have that really almost a rustic appeal to them. They definitely are a handcrafted item, and I love them. I love the scrappy projects. So one more thing that I wanted to show you. I'm sorry for reaching behind me, but until my new studio is up and running, this is where I am recording. So speaking of the new studio, I have in my mind begun to decorate my new craft space. And one of the things that I am planning on putting in there is a nice little area rug. And I found this wonderful pattern for an area rug in the Simply Crochet magazine, issue number 75. And it is right there. It is called Blue Lagoon, and it is a ombre style rug by Esme Crick. That is the designer behind this. Now, it is worked in a cotton yarn, and this is a fairly bulky yarn. I am trying to use up some of my stash right now, and I did have some cotton yarn in stash. And what I had, you may remember this if you're a longtime viewer of the podcast, is the Karen Cotton Cakes. So this is a Karen cake of sorts that released last summer. I did up a shirt in this yarn, not in this colorway, but in this yarn, and I really liked it. They discontinued it almost as quickly as or clearanced it, almost as quickly as I discovered it. I'm hoping that because it didn't say discontinued, it just said clearance, that come next summer, they're going to bring it back in perhaps different colorways. But I did run in and grab as much as I could while it was still there, because I really, really, really enjoy working with this. So this colorway, as you can see, is purples, blues, greens, yellows, orange. It's a really, really interesting color palette, and they almost look a little bit washed out. I think that's why I like it so much. The colorway is called Calico Flowers, and it is rated as a size 4 yarn. It is 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. So there it is, the Caron Cotton Cake. So what that is creating in that blanket, because as you saw, the blanket is made up of all little circles, is this. So that is sort of a cross section of the different colors, and this is kind of what some of them are looking like. So that is purple in the middle with pink on the outside, and then one that's full on purple, one that's blue with purple, a little bit of purple on the outside, one that's full on blue, one that's green with a little bit of blue, and we got a full-on green, and we have orange with just the slightest bit of, or orange, oh my goodness, yellow with just the slightest bit of green, yellow with a bit of a pink interior, full-on pink, purple in the middle with pink to the outside, full-on purple, blue in the middle, purple to the outside. So as you can see, they are not all the same. They are all very different. But the way that the blanket or the rug is put together, it would sort of have one in the middle, and then you attach them together as they're going around, and it creates a little area rug. And I think this is going to be just beautiful. I really like sort of that boho, shabby chic look, and I think this is really going to play into that aesthetic very, very well. So keep tuned in, and I will update you on the progress of the rug for my new studio space. All right, so let's see, we talked about the ugly blanket, the socks, the rug, and yeah, I think that's all of the current projects that I planned to share with you today. So yeah, a little bit of diversity in what I'm doing. I have, believe it or not, I'm sure you believe it, some more designs that are just itching to come out. So I'm kind of excited about that, but it might not be for the next podcast. It might have to hold on for a little bit while I work out some of the details, because it's a bigger project this time. So that's, as I said, all I've got to share with you for my works in progress. I don't have much to share from an acquisition standpoint. Haven't been purchasing a lot. I do have something coming in the mail. I was hoping it would be here for today, but it's not. And it is not crochet related. What? It is not sewing related. What? Who am I? It is actually a cross-stitch kit that I have ordered. Yes, because I do cross-stitch as well. I do all the crafts, all the things. Yes, so it is a beautiful cross-stitch kit that is on the way, and I'll share that with you as soon as it gets here. Other than that, I never did tell you. Oh, can you hear her snoring in the background? Oh my goodness, she's loud. Never did tell you, it is my birthday month. February is the month that I am born in. So I do usually try and buy something yarn-wise that's a little bit special for my birthday. So I will be putting in a yarn order in the next couple of days for that. Last year it was an order from Stranded Dye Works from Amy over in the UK, so that was a big treat for myself. And this year I've got something in the works as well, and I'll share that with you once all my plans are finalized. But yes, it is my birthday month, so trying to use up a little bit of my stash before I add more to it. And as I've alluded to in this podcast and discussed in greater detail last podcast, we are in the process of doing a few renovations upstairs. We are putting in some new flooring and whatnot in the master bedroom. And once all of that is done, I will be moving my studio into my new larger studio space, which is incredibly exciting. And once that happens, I will, of course, be adding more yarn. But until then, it seems a little silly to be adding yarn while I am in very cramped quarters awaiting the move. So that is why there is the delay in a whole lot of acquired goodies. But that being said, hold on for a few seconds. I will be right back, and we will have a cowl update because we do have a crochet along going on. All right, so on to the cowl update. So in our Ravelry group, all of the links, by the way, are down below in the show notes. So if you're new and you haven't checked out things like the Ravelry group, the link will be down below. Come on over, check us out. It's kind of fun to be on Ravelry if you're already there. Yeah, friend request, but definitely join the group. Anywho, in Ravelry, we are running a colorwork cowl. So it started at the beginning of January and going through the end of this month. So the cowl will end on February 28th. The idea behind the cowl is to either learn some new techniques or practice some techniques that maybe we haven't used in a while. And this sweater is what sort of sparked my interest in colorwork a little while ago. I have since found so many colorwork patterns that really appeal to me, and as you saw in the last segment, started designing myself in colorwork. I really, really, really enjoy the process of colorwork. So thought I would share that with everybody and run a colorwork cowl. So the cowl itself is open to crochet and knitting. So if you are a knitter, come on over and join us as well. There are quite a few people participating, and we've had some wonderful objects posted and some very varying techniques, very varying. So some varied techniques showing up on there. We've got plaids, we've got houndstooth, we've got fades, we've got traditional colorwork. We've got all kinds of things going on over there. So by all means, come on over, check out what's there. Most everybody is linking their patterns as well. So if you see something you really like, you can always link to the pattern in Ravelry and check that out. Some amazing, amazing colorwork projects in the finished projects page. So speaking of the different pages, so in Ravelry we have a chatter thread and a finished projects thread, and they are rather self-explanatory. Chatter thread is for asking questions, for talking, for sharing. The finished objects thread, please no chatter in that thread because it is just for pictures of our finished colorwork projects. There will be one winner chosen from the chatter thread. So even if you don't complete your colorwork project to be able to post it in the finished projects thread, as long as you're chattering about it and you're showing the things and getting involved, as long as you're participating, you will have the opportunity to be in one of the prize draws. So there is the prize in the chatter thread. There is also a prize for the finished objects thread. So as people are posting, one post per finished project, please, and we will be able to choose a winner from there as well. There will be a third winner chosen. Where are they being chosen from, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. We have a hashtag as well. The hashtag is listed below because it's a long one. Sorry, my first hashtag for the podcast, and I chose a long one. It is hashtag DRC Colorwork Cowl 2019. Colorwork spelt with the OUR. So the Canadian / British way, as opposed to the American way, because I am Canadian. So that is how I spell things. So yes, so DRC Colorwork Cal with a C, C-A-L, 2019 is the hashtag to share on Instagram. Just as an FYI, if you like winning prizes, and who doesn't like winning prizes? But if you like winning prizes, post in the Instagram thread. There's not a whole lot of posting going on there, so your chances of winning are really, really good. Just saying. So, 3 ways to win prizes in the Cal. I have had Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet generously offer some patterns as prizes. So she, if you don't know already, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, is a wonderful, wonderful crocheter and crochet designer and podcaster and just an all-round wonderful person. And she has donated 3 of her beautiful patterns. I believe it will be the winner's choice as to which pattern they would like. And so there will be one from each of those threads. And also there will be some project bags. So each of the winners will also get a project bag. And chances are there will be some goodies in those project bags. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So some great prizes to go with the Cal. I'm just thrilled to see so many people giving colorwork a try that have never done it before. That is really exciting because that's what it was about. It was about inspiring people to try something new, to sort of push their envelopes a little bit, to expand their knowledge and their creativity, and yes, to inspire others. That's what it was about. So thank you to everybody who has already participated. And by all means, please come on over and join us if you haven't yet checked it out. So that is the Rabe Creations Ravelry page. All right, so I will be back in one more moment to wrap things up and do a quick shop update. So I'll see you in a second. So here we are in the final segment of today's podcast. And I would like to do a quick shop update. As you may or may not know, I do have an Etsy page, so I do sell product on Etsy. Started out as finished crochet projects. It has then it expanded into project bags, so sewn project bags and some stitch markers. It is about to have crochet patterns in it as well. And stay tuned for wooden sock blockers and wooden granny square blockers. So the product line is growing and growing and becoming more and more tailored to the maker as opposed to having finished projects in there. There will always be some finished objects for people to buy because yeah, that's sort of back to the roots, and you know, sometimes I will update and have things. I think it will mainly be focused going forward on back to baby blankets, which is where it all started. So baby blankets and the occasional hat, that sort of thing. But the focus will be going forward things for the maker. And it has been going very well. So if you're watching this podcast and you have purchased, thank you so much. I've had a few bags purchased over the past 2 weeks and it has been amazing. And it's so much fun to see that Etsy notification saying, you know, if somebody ordered something, I get all excited. And if I'm at work, I, text my husband to let him know. Because it is very exciting to see your handicrafts sort of being released out into the world. So let me show you a few of the things that I have created and will be posting in the Etsy shop very quickly. So first off, they are project bags, of course. So the first one I have to show you is this one here. Definitely has a bit of a winter feel to it, but not holiday, just winter. So it is some beautiful pine cones, and it looks like it is on snow-covered trees. The base of the bag is, of course, as always, a box bottom bag. It is a drawstring. The base of the bag and the casing that the drawstring goes through is the same beautiful blue subtly printed fabric. The handle is this gorgeous plaid, and it, of course, matches the plaid on the inside of the bag. I quite like this one. It is a little bit rustic, a little bit woodsy, woodland type theme. Isn't terribly girly. So, you know, if you're one of those crocheters or knitters out there who, you know, doesn't necessarily want to have things that are all pink and frilly and fruffy, this one might be for you. So that is the pine cones. The next bag to show you is one of my personal favorites because it is covered in beautiful owls. So these look like snowy owls and barn owls. And of course it is a snow theme. The fence, it's got a fence with some barbed wire, and it's a snow-capped fence. The birds are sitting sort of in looks like a snowy field with some sprigs of grass sticking out from the snow. I really like this pattern. I think it's beautiful. The box bottom, of course, in this blue with white stars fabric, as is the casing, and the handle and the interior are a blue striped fabric. So again, all nicely coordinated fabrics that go together quite well. I like can you tell blue is one of my favorite colors? I like the subtleness of this bag. And as always, well, not as always, because I do, secret information. I am going to be releasing some zippered bags coming up very soon. So watch the Etsy page. But it is my traditional drawstring bag with a cotton rope drawstring, 100% cotton on that drawstring. I quite like this. Yeah, so there it is, the snowy owls. And finally, I have released one of my jumbo bags. So these are the huge project bags that I do. They are absolutely enormous. Honestly, you can certainly fit an entire sweater or a small throw blanket within this. Definitely room for all of the yarn. The bottom of the bag has these beautiful deer in a snow scene. It looks like there's a cabin back there, snow covered. The top of the bag is white with gray snowflakes. The strap and the interior is a pale pink color. And that, as I said, is one of my jumbo bags. There are no jumbo bags in my shop currently. Oh, and I should say this does have a box bottom as well. There are no jumbo bags in my shop currently because they have all been purchased. So I have this one ready to be listed and another one that is currently on the sewing machine. So it will be listed at some point this week as well. So I have 3 bags going into the shop. Feel free to go check those out. I have a pattern that's going to be going into the shop within the next few days as well. Lots of new things coming into the shop. So, you know, go ahead, go check it out, see what you think. Let me know what you think. If there's any projects or if there's any products that you would be interested in seeing in the shop, let me know. I do hook rolls as well, so crochet hook rolls. I've got a couple of those listed in the shop. There's all kinds of neat things for the maker. So by all means, go and check it out. If you are an Etsy person, make sure that you favor the shop, so make it one of your liked shops, and you will always get updates sent to you of when new things are listed. Alrighty, I think that's all I have for you today. I will be back in 2 weeks. We will have another CAL update. There should be one more update before the CAL ends. So if you've got any aspirations to do some color work, come on over, get it in there. I would love to see your projects and have more people participating. There's some great patterns that Hannah has offered us as prizes. Some of the project bags. It's just a lot of fun. And it's kind of neat to see different people's takes, different people's color work. It's fun. So that's it. That's all I have for you. I will be back in 2 weeks, as I said. And until then, please be kind to each other and have wonderful, wonderful moments of crafting goodness. Bye now.